introduce Nikia, who many of you know. You probably know her as the mother of the twins.
Amen.
But she's many more things than the mother of than the mother of the twins. She's a writer, and she's about to publish her first book, which I hope that we will all support when it comes out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Amen.
Great. So Nikia,
Thank
Floor is
you,
yours.
Gail. Thank you, Gail. So I am the twins' mother, and I just got 2 dogs. So now I'm the mother to them as well. And one is here, so hopefully she will be quiet. So when I'm not at church, I work full time for a heart health nonprofit based in New York City, running programs for heart surgery patients, liver transplant patients, and pediatric kidney transplant patients. So when I'm not doing that, I am a writer. And I write because I like sharing my stories, my lived experience, but sharing my truth. And that comes out in a lot of different ways, and it falls a lot of different ways on the ears of those who listen. So today's Adult Forum, we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling, a lot about truth telling. So we live in a society where we share our histories. And this is Black History Month. And we often hear about the stories from slavery, the stories that are in our textbooks, the stories that are told to us by others. What we don't often think about is the unimaginable experiences of slaves, of those who enslaved them. And what we tend to hear, are the truths told not from the slaves themselves, but from those who enslaved them. So we get to hear their version of the truth. People who often told slaves how to feel, what not to feel, what hurts and what does not hurt. So today's Adult Forum is about telling our own truth and our own stories, because it is these truths that draw us closer to God. So before I keep going, I should warn you all that this won't just be me talking to you. We are going to interact, and by the end, I hope you feel comfortable enough to share your own stories with one another. So before I keep going, can someone read the quote on the board aloud? Therefore, I need a volunteer.
okay.
Jane.
Okay.
Our faith traditions interpret themselves as stories because they teach our hearts how to embrace hope over fear and love over isolation. Marshall Cannons.
Thank you. So what is are you okay?
I'm okay, I'm sorry about that. I
That's
think
okay.
that was on it.
So what did you pick up from that quote? Let's read it one more time. James, would you mind?
Our faith traditions interpret themselves as stories because they teach our hearts how to embrace hope over fear and love over isolation.
I think of Kelly Brown Douglas's most recent book, Resurrection Hope. And that's money in the bank for me, because if there was a resurrection, then there's hope wherever we are. So I pick up that.
Thank you.
I was reminded of Brene Brown's work on vulnerability and connection, because if you're able to push back past vulnerability and fear and isolation, on the other side of that is love and connection. And like a lot of that, like you have to share your story in order, and it's scary, but like that's the only way to connect is to share.
What I think about is how impoverished our faith traditions are if we don't go deep enough to hear the stories of people who, when we look, are treated so badly that in the first instance it's hard to see any hope. It's hard to see any love. But our responsibility is to keep on going deep and see the courage and the the sustenance and the resilience and the strength and the faith of those who shouldn't have any faith, but still do.
I don't wanna tip off the sermon, for those of you that are 11, but the whole thing.
Let's stop right there, Rick.
I'll just say that, I hadn't thought of nicknames in a long time. And the story of nicknames, we all have our stories. We have our stories that maybe depending on who you are, people don't want to listen to. It's like just sit there. And, but we all have our stories.
I think that the bit that for me sticks is our faith traditions, because we all have different faith traditions, but I think what it's saying is that all faith traditions interpret themselves as stories. And if you're looking to find out more about what your faith tradition is, look for the stories, look in the Bible, look wherever the stories are told about faith, because they teach our hearts how to embrace hope and overcome fear and isolation. That's how I read it.
Yeah, and for slaves,
That's right.
writing and sending notes or letters could get them killed.
It's actually, I think if we reverse faith traditions with stories, it's even more powerful. Because our stories interpret themselves as faith traditions because they teach us. And I think the stories are the foothold, the stepping stone. It's really not the faith tradition. Faith tradition is much more after the stories.
So I grew up Baptist, and I spent hours in church on Sunday. My grandparents were very involved in church, and I was raised by my grandparents. And I would zone out during the sermon, but the music I could get. And what I didn't appreciate then, but I appreciate now, even more so, is the message. And what I know now about African American spirituals is that they were born out of a need for slaves to share stories in a way that would not get them murdered. So it's a way to express emotions and feelings and fear and faith and hope. And so I'm gonna put on a song. And so I want you to make yourselves comfortable. I'm not gonna tell you the meaning behind it. If you've already heard it, okay, good for you. You can jump in during the conversation portion, but make yourself comfortable. I want you to really listen to the words. And if you can't hear it, let me know. I will turn up my little Bluetooth here. It's about 2 minutes long, so you're warned.
Oppressed so hard they
passing around now the entire song. And you might notice that Mika Parrish, who sung the song, only sang verse 1. And it's so powerful, just that one verse. But the entire song was written in 1861 and published, and became a call, an African American spiritual, born out of the Bible. Does anybody know, perhaps, from which testament?
Exodus.
Yes? So why don't you, if you need an extra copy, you good? So can someone read verse 1? We're not going to read all of the verses, but can someone read verse 1 aloud?
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
Verse 2.
The Lord, oh, go ahead. The Lord told Moses what to do. Let my people go. To lead the children of Israel through. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
The pillar of cloud shall clear the way. Let my people go. A fire of night, a shade by day. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
All right, let's keep going. We only have a couple more. Let's finish it up here. Verse 4.
As Israel stood by the waterside, let my people go. At God's command, it did divide. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
When they had reached the other shore, let my people go. They sang the song of triumph over, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
Oh, let us all from bondage flee. Let my people go. And let us all in Christ be free. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
Thank you. Thank you all who volunteered to read a verse. For me, this says that, as much as our stories are different, they're very much alike. And while the Africans were not Egyptian, per se, they knew that God would be there for them too. So let my people go. You can really pick up how that would trigger some emotions for folks who were keeping others in bondage. And sometimes when we hold on to our own stories and don't share them with others, we are keeping ourselves in bondage because the truth is freeing. It might carry some fear with it. It might cause us to feel isolated in some way. But once that story is out there, there's no bringing it back in because it's been heard. Does anyone want to say anything about this spiritual before we move on?
I just was looking at the progression of it and thinking how brilliant it was because white people or enslavers could hear this and think it was a cherished biblical story about the Jewish people being liberated without seeing any contemporary meaning to it. But the last verse is like it pulls the rug right out from under that illusion. That not only the slaves who were singing it were enslaved, but the people who were enslaving were enslaved.
Right.
And it's hard, it's impossible to read verse 6 without knowing what the heck this is going about. But it kind of creeps up on you.
Right,
It's really,
right.
really smart.
Mic drop at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and just since we're telling the full story, the full story is that Moses did go to Egypt, and the Israelites were freed, and also the things changed too. I mean, Jesus did go to Egypt as a baby, right? And it was that's kind of the completion of the story.
Right.
The circle is complete now.
So we have song, and we have narrative. And Gail mentioned earlier that I am publishing a book, which I am, which still feels weird to say, but it comes out in October. And so I got to a point where I felt I had a story to share, and I said, hey, let's write a book. So I did that. 15 years later, we have a book.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I am reading from my manuscript, which don't tell anybody, because I'm not supposed to.
Should we turn this off?
Yeah, no, it's fine. So my truth is that I was raised by my grandparents, my mom's parents, and my mom was addicted to cocaine, and spent much of my life in and out of prison. I don't know what it's like to be, my freedom to be taken away, but I do know the shame that goes along with having a loved one's freedom taken away. My mom was very, very good about not sharing what happened while she was incarcerated with me, and I don't want to imagine what those things could have been that happened to her. But I did experience her lifestyle by way of being the eldest of her 4 children. So I'm reading chapter 3, just one page, really quickly, so you all can do your work next. In the winter of 2005, just after my 23rd birthday, and a year before Jonathan was born, I took the train to the place my mother then called home, Bayview Correctional Facility, a medium security prison across from Chelsea Piers on the west side of New York City. She had been serving time for selling drugs, a crime she said she was framed for, and was being released early on good behavior after serving 3 years of her 6-year sentence. Her sentence had begun at Riverhead County Jail before she was moved upstate to Albion Prison. Bayview was her last stop. I can still remember the drug raid that landed her there. Uncle Wayne called Aunt Lady to share the news that the house on Vale Street was being raided. He was too scared to verify the information himself by driving past the house, so I grabbed my car keys and went to confirm the story for myself. Blue, red, and white lights flashed as I turned onto Vale Street that night. I arrived just before everyone began exiting the house, which was green with a painted white roof. It stood out because it was the only one on the left side of the road, the only one with a sandy driveway. The cool night air caught my tears midstream as I wondered what the cops were saying and doing to my mother. She was 4 months pregnant with my sister at the time, and my mother and the father came out in handcuffs. My mother, who had recently ended the relationship, later told me that she returned that night only to pack up her things. Their relationship was fierce and volatile, fueled by their equally hot tempers. That night, I watched many familiar faces file out of the house, their hands and feet shackled to the person behind and in front of them, wondering what would happen after they were placed in the big black police vans that lined the streets. the incarcerated is that black and brown people are incarcerated at higher rates than white. What I know about incarceration is that black and brown people don't make up the majority of the population of the United States. And that over 1 million children live with a parent who is incarcerated. So the freedom of one person is taken away, but we forget that the freedoms of their family as well is taken away. And so as my ancestors were slaves, we still know what it means to not have one's freedom because we have still systemic racism leading to mass incarceration. So that's my story. And we have about 3 minutes for you all to share your story. So I would like you to get in groups of 2 or 3, and I will give you a prompt. And push away that fear that might rise up so that you can share your truth with the person you are working with. Go, be, find a friend.
What's our prompt?
I will tell you your prompt, but you have a partner. I will tell you your prompt.
Do you want to be partner? I'll be your partner. Hi. Oh, look at you. No, this is for you. I'm fine.
All right, so you got your partner, you exchanged names. What I want you to share is this.
Lucinda? Okay.
You're sharing, you're talking to each other. Let's think back to when you were a child. What memories do you have that link you to a place, a particular place, event, or experience that you value? Think back to when you were a child. What memories come up that link you to people or places or events that you value? Do you want to work with me?
Both of my parents had parents that lived in so we had to travel maybe 4 days to each home. But I remember my grandmother, Sophia, we would go and visit her at Easter, and we would have all these plants and things, and I just love Easter because I just remember how wonderful and joyous that was. And there was a train track that we had to cross over, and I remember the train. Every time I hear a train, it takes me back to my childhood. How about you?
Or the
Alright, everyone, it is 10:55. It is 10:55. So if you are heading up to the 11, I say we can end now. If I have to go to the 11, but if y'all want to stay and talk, hey, go at it. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great story. How's Jonathan doing?
Jonathan got into AMDA, which is a performing arts school. So he'll be going, God willing, for 2 years in New York City and 2 years in LA.
So what happened when he was little? He seemed so quiet. What happened?
He's still quiet.
Oh, he is?
When he gets on stage,
Forget about it.
different kid.
For college?
Yeah, for college.
Okay, we're talking to you.
program here, Rising Stars?
No, he goes to boarding school.
I know. She took it off. She said, shoot.